Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Salim Akhtar Malik, your host at the Observation Post channel. This channel is dedicated to discussing issues of national and international importance. Before we proceed further, I would request you to please subscribe to the channel. It is free. Talking of free subscription, our vlogger in India has objected to it. He says that free subscription is always dicey. I would reply to him that I do not rattle out the content of my videos out of some suspicious yellow pages produced before me by an equally suspicious research team. I am the researcher, I am the writer, and I am the presenter. I research my topics, write down my scripts, and then present them to you. In order to further authenticate my videos, in future, all the videos will be accompanied by transcripts, which will be available on Twitter. So I'll send these videos on Twitter, and along with the video, that is MP4, the transcript in PDH will also be available. Now let's get on with the business. What are we going to talk in this evening, in this session? We'll be talking about the Indo-US strategic relationship. Now, the present and recently concluded strategic military agreements, a combination of various agreements between the United States and India, have come under criticism even in India itself, where many people, including some ex-generals, are saying that these agreements will make India a junior partner to the United States, whereas they think of their country as at least a regional power, if not a superpower. Now, how many people know that the Indo-US strategic relationship is not a new phenomenon? It is something which goes back to the 1960s, during the height of the Cold War, when India, according to the Americans, was sitting on the fence and marketing itself as a non-aligned country. Now, in 1965, just after the ceasefire between India and Pakistan, the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States, that is CIA, and the Indian Intelligence Bureau had joined hands to spy on China's nuclear program. In 1964, China had exploded its first nuclear bomb and had become a nuclear power. Now, side by side, it had also started work on its delivery system. That is a system to deliver nuclear warheads. For that, they had initiated a missile program. Now, Americans were apprehensive about this, about the Chinese missile program, and wanted to get information about the parameters of that program, as to what were the ranges up to which the Chinese would be developing their nuclear capable missiles. So to monitor the missile tests, they had planned to install a nuclear sensing device, not one but two nuclear sensing devices atop a suitable mountain feature inside India. The problem was that most of the features were blocked by features with the higher altitudes, and they would not provide the clear line of sight which was required for the sensor to function. So in 1963, General Curtis Lee May, an American general, had led an American expedition to the Everest, to the Mount Everest. And in 1965, in October 1965, CIA asked him to lead another expedition, this time to a suitable mountain site, mountain top, which the CIA had uh, found out inside India to plant a nuclear sensing device. Now, the site that they had selected was Nanda Devi, India's second highest mountain peak, which was then in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, but now is part of the state of Uttarakhand. So it was decided that a joint Indo-US expedition would reach the mountain sites, the mountain top, and install two transceivers, an 8 feet long antenna, and the most important of all was a nuclear generator. The equipment would be powered by a nuclear generator called a SNAP unit, in short for System of Nuclear Auxiliary Power. So that uh, took the expedition to the base camp near Nanda Devi, but due to inclement weather, had to leave the equipment there. Uh, I forgot to tell you that the equipment weighed almost 60 kilograms. So to carry such heavy equipment uh, on top of a mountain peak was quite a job which they had to do. So they left it at the base camp and decided to come back later and then continue with their expedition. But then next year, when they went back to the base camp, they found out to their horror that the equipment was not there. The SNAP unit, that is the nuclear power generator, which had 7 capsules of plutonium with a half-life of 500 years. And the plutonium was enough. That is, it was equivalent, the plutonium was equivalent to half of what the American nuclear bomb at Hiroshima had. So when they returned back to their base camp and found out that the entire equipment was missing, they asked their Indian colleagues, who told them that perhaps due to snow blizzards, the equipment had slid down the mountain and was lying somewhere in the crevices. Americans didn't believe the Indian explanation, and they thought that the Indians had, before the second expedition, joint expedition would uh, assemble, they had on their own sent a separate expedition, separate team, which had extracted the equipment in order to use it for India's own nuclear program. This had happened, and the next year the Americans, because they were still not satisfied with the Indian explanation, they sent another expedition along with helicopters, which tried to find out the nuclear snap unit with the help of uh, nuclear detectors, but they couldn't find. So in 1967, they finally placed another snap generator along with the transceivers and the required equipment on top of a mountain feature nearby, that is Nanda Kot. Nanda Kot was almost 7,000 meters high, whereas Nanda Devi was 8,000 meters high. They left it, the equipment, the transceivers kept sending them signals, and then they stopped sending the signals. Suddenly, they went silent. Again, they went to find out what had happened, although they had found out the parameters of the Chinese missile development program, and to their satisfaction, the Chinese at that time were not testing any long range nuclear missiles which would threaten the United States. The second set of equipment also disappeared and would be lying somewhere uh, in the crevices. And the experts say the area has been uh, declared out of bounds for all sorts of civil expeditions except military expeditions. And they say that the contamination caused by the two nuclear generators lying there would contaminate the Ganga Rishi River, which feeds into the glaciers, and the resultant contamination would endanger the people right up to Kolkatta. This is the extent of the United States India nuclear cooperation, which started in the 1960s. This is all what I wanted to say in this session. So long.